States of consciousness in Chapter 4 can be quite difficult to get empirical evidence to validate with studies um, that really are able to demonstrate thought processes and states of consciousness, whether we're in a bright, alert state or whether we're in a subconscious state, whether that's sleeping or we're hypnotized or we're knocked out, all different states of consciousness. But this chapter becomes quite difficult. We've got great technology to peer into the brain. We can even use an EEG to determine where in sleep you are in terms of your stage 1, 2, 3, 4, REM, etc. But we rely on self-report, what people tell us about their conscious experiences, or what they can remember and tell us about their subconscious experiences. Now, when we get to chapter 6, you guys will realize that our memories are very malleable and they're full of holes. We can't always rely on memory. It's an incredible ability, and we need it every day. But there are flaws. Memory can be distorted. So when it comes to self-report about something that happened yesterday or something that happened last night when I was sleeping, we go on what you tell us, but can that be trusted? Is it reliable? Is it accurate? There's some problems with that. So as we kind of make our way through this chapter, take that into consideration, that it's not always super accurate in terms of what people are telling us about their experiences. So consciousness, William James, you guys remember him from chapter 1, stream of consciousness, one of the first people to really try to understand that, using the metronome, using a method to try to get people to share and provide what goes on in connecting thoughts and streaming thoughts, and why it's adapted, why it's actually useful and helpful to us. James was on the cutting edge of that type of work. Awareness of external events, internal sensations under arousal. It's what are we conscious of in the here and now in terms of what am I detecting in my environment? What am I smelling, tasting, hearing, seeing? What kind of things are also am I able to detect within myself internally? Metacognition is thinking about your thoughts, being able to analyze your thoughts, being able to pick them apart and try to gain insight into oneself through the examination of thoughts. Cerebral cortex and association areas of the frontal lobes are what we believe to be activated during this conscious thinking, or this metacognition, or this is a continuous flow of changing sensations, images, thoughts, and feelings. The content of our awareness changes from moment to moment. Information moves rapidly in and out of consciousness. It certainly does. And we go up and down in levels of consciousness and where we're at. When we're aroused, consciousness, arousal, physiological state of being engaged with the environment, determined by the reticular activating system, which includes the brainstem, medulla, and thalamus. Arousal refers to the ways awareness is regulated. If we are in danger, we might need to be on high alert, but if we are in a safe environment with no immediate demands, we can relax and our arousal level can go quite low. So arousal goes up and down. It ebbs and flows throughout your day, and it determines the level of consciousness that we're currently in. Theory of mind, understanding that a person and others think, feel, perceive, and have private experiences. Different than myself. The way you perceive things is different than the way I perceive them, and my acknowledgement of that is very important. Says, have you ever had a conversation with someone who didn't seem to notice you were really not into it? They weren't able to pick up on that. They weren't able to read your nonverbals that demonstrate you are not paying attention or you're not interested. That person was showing a theory of mind deficit. The ability to read nonverbals and the ability to perceive that others are highly engaged with us or they're zoning out is part of theory of mind. It says it's the part of yourself that contains your private thoughts and feelings. It might seem obvious that other people have private thoughts and feelings as well, but the human ability to recognize the subjective experience of another is a true developmental accomplishment. It is. And also empathy and sympathy are aspects of theory of mind. We think of somebody who is able to empathize well with others. We know empathy is something that also can be learned, and we try to model that for kids because we believe kids can gain empathy, can increase in empathy with watching other people engage, and in doing kind things for others, or listening and experiencing vicariously other people's emotions. A sociopath, for instance, would be pretty devoid of empathy, devoid of the ability to perceive what's going on with somebody else. They can fake empathy and sympathy well, but in terms of, are they really experiencing it the way we are? Does theory of mind really play into the part of the sociopathic mind? Probably not. Levels of awareness, you guys. When you go from higher levels, which sometimes we refer to as controlled processes. If you look here, the key word here, controlled processing, is often the way we refer to it. When you're learning something for the first time, the example, they're doing a math problem or preparing for a debate. When you're highly engaged, or even at bat in a baseball game, you're highly focused, you're highly engaged, your level of arousal is heightened. Now, if you drop below that a little bit, we go into something that we sometimes refer to as automatic processing, lower levels. Punching in a number on a cell phone, typing on a keyboard, when one is an expert gazing at a sunset. Listen, these are automatic things. It's like on autopilot. When we learn to drive for the first time, we're using what we call controlled processing. We're trying to get the steps down. It's important to us. We're excited about driving. Now, flash forward 5 years, 10 years. When you get in your car to go somewhere today, you're going to use automatic processing for the most part. You're going to automatically go through the motions. It's been conditioned into you, so you don't have to rely on a high level. Now, unless you're driving down the interstate and somebody cuts you off in traffic, and then you automatically take control of the event, and you swerve to miss somebody, you slow up really quickly, and then you're highly alert, so you speed up and you hopefully don't flip them the bird or holler, scream something at them, which we might do from time to time. But anyways, we're in high alert. So anyways, as the event has decreased, we're coming down in our arousal, we go back into automatic processing and kind of move on. Altered states of consciousness down here can be produced by drugs, trauma, fatigue, possibly hypnosis and sensory deprivation. Feeling the effects of having taken alcohol or a psychedelic drug, undergoing hypnosis to quit smoking or lose weight. These are altered states. They're very cool, very different kind of experience, and we'll talk a little more about that in a little bit. Subconscious is when you're drifting off to sleep. Can occur when people are awake as well as when they're sleeping. If we're daydreaming, that would be a subconscious, almost like an altered state too, because you think about it, when you're daydreaming, you're present physically, but your mind is somewhere else. In clinical psychology, we might call that dissociating or dissociative states, where we can go different places in our mind, but be physically somewhere else. Sleeping and dreaming are examples of that. And then no awareness is, if you get knocked out or you're under anesthesia, we have no conscious awareness of that. In fact, there's no concept of time when we come out of anesthesia. It's almost like you blink and the procedure's been done. Being knocked out, when somebody comes to, they're in a conscious state, they often have no recall of what transpired during the time that they were knocked out. Or a person who's comatose. We've had rare cases where people are in comas for 20 plus years, come out of that state, and they have no recollection, no memory, no autobiographical memory of 20 years that passed. So you go into a coma state at 18 and you come out at 40 something. It can be quite traumatizing and very difficult. So when we move into sleep, talking about biological rhythms. So the periodic physiological fluctuations in your body that are biologically set, controlled by the biological clock, a 24-hour cycle such as sleep and wake cycle, and temperature changes in the body. That's basically innate and part of our wired to the biological clock. The circadian rhythms, daily behavioral or physiological cycle, sleep, wake, body temperature, blood sugar, also blood pressure changes. An example, the body temperature fluctuates about 3 degrees Fahrenheit in a 24-hour day. It peaks in the afternoon and then reaches its lowest point around 2 a.m. to about 5 a.m. The suprachiasmatic nucleus, the SCN, is something that it's determined by retinal input, synchronizes its rhythm with daily light and dark cycles. And you can see in the purple area here talking about folks that are totally blind may experience lifelong sleeping problems because they can't detect light. their retina doesn't pick up on light. These people have a kind of permanent jet lag and periodic insomnia because their circadian rhythms often don't follow a 24-hour. You can imagine how exhausting that would be, and difficult to probably maintain proper sleep and sufficient sleep. Your biological clocks, as desynchronizing biological clocks, can be thrown off by regular schedules. Changes in those schedules, some of y'all that go from day shift to night shift work can really kind of tamper with the biological clock. Jet travel, changing work shifts, insomnia, all these things can affect our biological clock and can really kind of wreak havoc in our ability to maintain proper sleep. It says the jet lag you experience when you fly from Los Angeles to New York occurs because your body time is out of phase or synchronization with clock time. Jet lag is a result of two or more body rhythms being out of sync. You usually go to bed when your body temperature begins to drop. But in your new location, you might be trying to go to sleep when it's rising. In the morning, your adrenal glands release large doses of the hormone cortisol to help you wake up. So when this is thrown off, y'all, it can really kind of tamper with that for a certain period of time. Also, resetting a biological clock. Bright light helps with that quite a bit. Melatonin. A lot of us take melatonin at night to fall asleep. Our brain naturally produces this hormone, but supplements can also increase more amounts of it. It says bright light during the day, especially in the morning, increases wakefulness, whereas bright light at night delays sleep. So, sleep hygiene is a big thing. Being able to make sure that your room is dark, it's cool, it's devoid of any stimuli like TV, like music. I know some people go to sleep with music, but to tell you the truth, white noise is actually better, or just like a fan, or something or rain even is a nice a noise that can actually help us fall asleep. Reasons why we sleep. Evolutionary perspective is just for protection for the most part, sleeping during times that are safe and being awake and bright and out during times when it's more adaptive to be there. To conserve energy, restoration, also brain plasticity is an important part of our brain's ability to repair itself, our brain's ability to change and create new neural pathways. Sleep seems to be essential in allowing it and continuing to help it do it at a high level. Sleep deprivation. Do we lack sleep? Do Americans lose sleep? Are we sleep deprived as a nation? Some people say yes. Example would be look around in your community. Look around as you drive about the sleep stores that are available and the sleep products that are available, and everything from mattresses to supplements to help for sleep disorders. That's big business today, and it kind of speaks to the fact that maybe we are quite sleep deprived. Maybe we need to pay attention to getting better sleep. I think it's highly underrated, and we need to pay attention to it more. One of the things it says can influence moral judgment right here, guys. We talked about this in my class, and I think the thing that it might do, it might make you more aggravated or more tired or sleepy, and as a result, we might not interact with people as we normally would. We might not completely stop at a stop sign. Nobody's coming. We might blow through it. I don't think it's going to affect your moral judgment to the degree that you're going to do something that really contradicts your sense of right and wrong. I don't think you're going to break into your neighbor's home. I don't think you're going to go rob a bank, unless that lines up with your moral compass to begin with. So Americans, adolescents, sleep patterns change through middle and late adulthood. They do. The amount of sleep that you require does go down, not dramatically, but especially at about the age of 3, and then later when you become a teenager, it starts to sort of plane off. And by the time we're in our elder or senior years, rather, it's not dramatically lower, but if we needed 8 hours at the age of 20, we might need more like 6 hours at the age of 60 or 70. We're going to talk about the stages of wakefulness and sleep. And I think that's something I'm going to continue in part 2. Let me look at this for one quick second, though. When you look at stages of sleep correspond to massive electrophysiological changes that occur throughout the brain. Definitely. Fast, irregular, and low amp electrical activity of wakefulness is replaced by slow, regular, high amp waves during deep sleep. And as it mentions there in the purple, the EEG can monitor the brain's electrical activity. And this is where we're able to determine the different stages people are in. lot of sleep studies today, a lot of people going to sleep studies to see if they can detect why they're not getting proper sleep. And an EEG does a good job of helping us see where they're at. Are they cycling properly? Are they getting REM sleep and dream time, which they need? And that's essential.